Alrighty, folks. Welcome back to our fun Friday games. We're back with Phoenix Wright's Spirit of Justice. We're about to finish up the next day of Turnabout Time Traveler. So we've got one more big place to go to and examine a lot of stuff, and then we're gonna head into the trial. So let's go. Let's do some exploring.
I mean, I should probably still have a walkthrough anyway. That way you don't miss anything.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to examine pretty much everything, and usually the game is pretty good when you're examining things that you don't miss anything. It tells you when you can move on. So we'll be okay, I'd say, at least for now. It looks like the police are done with their investigation in here. I wonder if it's okay for us to take a look around. Oh, hi, Mr. Ray. That's probably Emma. Yes, it is. Hey, Emma. Would it be all right if we investigate in this room now?
Sure. The police are all done, so go for it. Oh, remember that broken lantern?
Thank you for the subscription, Faye. Very nice of you.
How good effect.
Oh, but we'll take a...
Sounds like the repair job was a resounding success. Thanks, Emma. We'll take a good look at it, too.
Well, I have to be getting back to the station. Try not to miss at the crime scene if you can help it.
We'll be careful.
I'll be seeing you.
Bye, Emma, and thank you. Well, shall we get started? All right. Nick! What's wrong, Maya? This hasn't moved an inch since the last time we looked at it. It would be pretty creepy if it had. Look, we're in the middle of an important investigation, so try not to shout, okay? I was just hoping it had changed somehow, you know? So it would be more interesting? The last thing we need is for things to get more interesting. Are you sure about that, Phoenix? Because, like, a little bit of interest now and then isn't a bad thing. Okay. Ah, shiny. This is where the murder weapon, the timekeeper, was displayed. I guess it's in police custody now. Huh? What's this? A key? Let's ask the maid about it. Good idea. She might be able to tell us something. Excuse me, can I ask you a question? You want to be the maid?
Oh, of course. What would you like to know?
Do you know anything about this key?
It's the key that starts up the timekeeper.
A startup key?
That's right. Oh, the first startup of love ceremony was so beautiful. The bride and groom each had a symbol of their love, and when they put them together, oh, how romantic it was.
Key of love. A heart-shaped key used to activate the timekeeper. First startup of love ceremony? What exactly did that entail?
Oh, it's a ceremony in which the couple activated the timekeeper together for the first time. I suppose it was kind of like a cake-cutting ceremony.
And what are these symbols of their love you mentioned?
Well, that's kind of an industry secret, so I can't really say. I'm sorry. I'd better get back to my work, getting back to work now.
Looks like there's an order from above not to talk about it. Interesting. Hey, I think that tablecloth is new. They must have changed it since yesterday. Huh? How can you tell? Because the food stains that were there are now gone. I should have known it's because it's food related. It's another beautiful day outside, isn't it? Yeah. If only it wasn't the scene of a murder, we could really enjoy it. True. It must be tough for the maids to have to work on a beautiful day like today.
Oh, we don't mind.
Whoa, I didn't think you could hear me way over there.
We don't think of it as simply cleaning. It's more like we're wiping away all of the sadness stuck to this airship.
Wow, talk about devoted. I guess we've checked out everything of interest in this area. Nothing else. Nope. Maid. Hey, take a look at that door. I was pointing at the maid, but okay. I wonder where it goes. Shall we open it and see?
Wait, please don't open that. It's the emergency escape hatch. It leads directly outside. You'll fall to your death.
Ooh, that was a close one, huh, Maya? I'll say. Okay, so it was the door. Alright, awesome. Get a load of that huge set of doors. I bet all sorts of things come and go through here. Like an elephant. Pretty sure that's just the briding. It's just the briding room. This is a banquet hall, not a circus. And I've had enough experiences with a circus to last a lifetime. The theme song is still stuck in my head and it won't leave. Oh, classic. Putting it back together with duct tape. It's literally just duct tape together. It's so funny. Here's the broken lantern all patched up. And I do mean patched. Emma said this was some of her best work, so I know she put a lot of effort into it. It was pretty smashed up. It must have been a lot of work to piece it back together. Well, she gets an A for effort at any rate. Hmm? This wheel handle on the back has some blood on it. You're just noticing the wheel with blood on it now. When, you know, you had a picture of it from the very beginning, I think? We noticed it before. Why are you just... Okay. It looks like somebody gripped it with a bloody hand. Maybe the blood got there when the killer was putting old Doom and Gloom's body inside. Or, you know, it could have been Doom and Gloom himself putting the blood on it, because he had blood on his hand? Do you see anything else worth noting? Well, there's another one of these lanterns over there. So it might be a good idea to really compare the two later. Emma restored it, but something about it still seems off. Maid. Excuse me, is the fog machine ready to use now?
No, I'm afraid not. We only put dry ice in it when there's an actual reception.
I see. That's too bad. She still wants to blast me with a cloud of smoke, doesn't she? Anything else here? Doesn't look like it. Okay, so now... Oh, now we look at this guy again. This is the unbroken peggable lantern. Can I look at the broken one? And this is the one that Emma restored. I wouldn't say they look exactly the same. More like they're made up of the same parts. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What is it, Maya? I think there's something off about this peggable. Just about everything about it looks off to me. I'm not sure what it is, but some detail isn't quite right. Show me the restored lantern again. I knew he was going to ask me about it. That's the broken one. Can I go back and look at the other one again?
I think so.
It's the angle of the wings, actually. Because there's there's that one that's up top, but then there's that other one on the side that's bent slightly down. On the other one, they were both raised up. I had a feeling, because I was looking at that and I was like, okay, that one's a little lower down. Is that going to be important? I've got it. The angle of that wing is different, and it's attached all wrong. Well done, Nick. I could have told you that. I mean, there's something more subtle. Something that feels just slightly off. You know what I mean? No, not really. Still, maybe it's... So it wasn't that. I'm just gonna go over all of them because
Yeah, because there's no penalty.
Yeah. Well, the color... Oh, wait. That's actually kind of it too, because wasn't the wheel on the unbroken one bronze? Like a golden color? It's a different color altogether. Yeah, I was about to say. Oh, that's it. It's the inside wheel. Okay. Emma got the inside and outside wheel handles switched around. Oh wow, you're right. And there's blood here on this handle, as if somebody gripped it with a bloody hand. Right. Which means that the blood got on the handle from inside the lantern. So maybe he was trying to get out. Wait a second. Oh. Maybe that's how he died. He was inside of it when maybe he was pushed off somewhere and he landed on his head in the process. And that's how it. So when we found him dead in the thing, that was from after the fall. Maybe. We'll see where he goes. Do you think the blood got there when the killer was putting the body in the lantern? It's really hard to say at this point. Well, I think we've checked out everything relevant to this case. What are you two doing? I have a feeling that's Soren? Oh, no, wait. What are you doing here? Yeah. Soren, shouldn't you be resting in bed? You're injured. What do you know about that? Never mind. My notebook. Have you seen my notebook? I can't find it anywhere. My notebook. I need my notebook. What's the matter with him? My notebook. I have to have... Master Soren. Master Soren, I told you to stay in bed. My notebook.
All right.
Here you go.
Yes. This is it.
So Soren gets emotionally unstable without that notebook of his. Looks like he's calmed down now. Soren, do you mind if I talk to you for a minute? I cannot allow you to do that. What if his wound were to open up again? He needs to rest. I guess you're right. Now, if you will excuse us...
What I missed?
Master Soren, let us retire. We examined the hold, and we found a couple of key things. Emma patched up the broken lantern, but she put the wheel on incorrect. The one that has the blood on it is actually the wheel that was on the inside of the thing, not the outside. So he must have been trapped on the inside of the lantern. Maybe he was trapped in there. Possibly. And then the second thing we found was where this guy was originally. We found this.
Oh.
It's a wind-up key that activates the timekeeper. And apparently, the bride and groom each had items on each other that were symbols of their love.
Okay.
Yeah. Master Soren, let us retire.
All right.
There they go. Pierce is right. I guess he really isn't in any condition to be questioned. Well, let's go back to the agency and sort through what we learned.
How much of my voice did I miss?
No, you didn't miss a lot.
Okay.
Alright, so back to the agency. No, Phoenix, it's not a fog machine. It's a frog. And he's a frog. No, that sounds like a Phoenix. That sounds like a Final Fantasy thing that would happen, though. September 22nd, Wright Anything Agency. We're back. Anybody here?
Oh, hi, boss.
Athena, I thought you were with Trucy.
I guess you could say that I'm taking a short break. What do you know about me? What about the investigation? Did you find out anything?
Well, it turns out that the third party Ellen says she saw at the crime scene might have been Soren's rocket.
What? Really? I always thought he seems suspicious.
Thing is, by the time Soren got to the Vista deck, the murder had already occurred, apparently.
No way, I'm quite. Not for a second. It's a cover-up. A cover-up, I tell you.
That's certainly a possibility. And as a lawyer, it's certainly a possibility I have to pursue. But
But what? It's It's your job, right? So pursue the heck out of it. Just do it.
Yeah, but is that really what's best for Ellen? Soren could be found guilty if the truth comes out tomorrow. But if we don't pursue this possibility, Ellen could be found guilty instead.
Oh man, either way, it sure doesn't spell out happily ever after for the two of them. So what are you gonna do, Mr. Wright?
I can't let an innocent person get convicted. So I guess all I can really do is pursue the truth. Even if it ends up devastating Ellen.
What a tough call to make.
Still, there's always a chance, right? Maybe something will come up during the trial that will save their marriage. Like in every other case ever. Where something is like, oh, this is suddenly something that's supposed to be important. I hope so. I really do. Well, Maya, let's go. Break the news to Ellen, you mean? Yep.
Mr. Wright, please take me with you. I bet I could help you cancel Ellen through this piece of bad news.
Athena, I appreciate the offer, but don't you have somewhere else to be?
Do I?
Athena, what are you doing here? I've been looking all over for you. Come on now, let's get back to practicing.
No, wait. My body can't take it anymore. Boss, you gotta help me.
A lawyer always keeps their promises, Athena.
Boss!
If you bail on me one more time, Athena, I'm going to use a real blade on you. Then I'll really get to sort out my problems. Sorry, Athena, but somebody's got to do it. Better you than me, though. Hang in there, kiddo. Come on, Maya. We better get going. Okay. I'm putting on my my tough boy cap. All right. We gotta break it to her.
I'm just imagining in the background when you're leaving. Do you know how I got these scars?
Hello, Ellen.
How did your investigation go, Mr. Wright?
Before I answer that, I need to ask you something. Was Soren with you when Mr. Bloomsbury attacked you in the reception hall?
I'm sorry I kept it from you. I was afraid he'd come under suspicion if I told you. So I kept quiet about it. I'm really sorry.
I see. I thought it was probably something like that. Listen, Ellen, I'm afraid I had to make a very difficult decision based on what I found out.
What kind of decision?
This is very hard for me to say, but the mysterious person you saw at the scene of the crime was most likely Soren.
What?
In other words, in court tomorrow, I'm afraid I'll have to propose the possibility that Soren is the true culprit.
No. Soren is innocent. No.
But don't you see? If I don't try to pursue that line of thought, you'll be found guilty.
No. No.
Please, Ellen, calm down.
Ah.
Soren just... sorry, that's you.
Soren just can't be found guilty. I'd much rather be found guilty instead.
Ellen, you can't let yourself think like that.
But, no!
Marriage is for life, right? Do you really think you can run away from the truth and still be truly happy with him?
Ah! You're not very tough and you possibly understand. Sometimes you just gotta do whatever it takes to make things work.
But, Nick, you talk to her. Hey, don't just dump this all on me.
Mr. Wright, I'm innocent, and Soren is too. So please, prove our innocence in court.
I'll certainly do everything in my power. I just hope she doesn't lose control like this in court tomorrow.
Her losing control like this in court.
Yeah, and it's going to be at the worst possible time,
Yep.
too.
The moment you try and finger him, she's just gonna jump in and go, "No, I'm guilty."
Mm-hmm. And then Maya's gonna come in and slap her. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. Like, she needs a get-a-hold-of-yourself moment. And Maya's really good at delivering get-a-hold-of-yourself moments. Usually at our expense, but... All right, so let me just get the walkthrough up for my girl in the chair. Okay. Oh, goody! And the trial for today is apparently a two-parter. Okay, there you go. All right, September 23rd, 8:50 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 3. So the one thing we found out yesterday is that Soren was there at the crime scene. I only hope we can get some testimony from him that'll get to the heart of the matter.
Mr. Wright?
Good morning, Ellen. Look, I'm afraid you might not like the result of today's trial. Nevertheless...
Don't tell me you're still thinking of going that route. Soren is innocent. He can't be found guilty. Take me instead.
Ellen, please, try to get a hold of yourself.
I believe in Soren with all my heart. How dare you doubt him? How dare you doubt him?
Regardless of which one of them is found guilty today, it's going to be devastating for Ellen, isn't it? We'll just have to do everything we can. That's the best we can do, you know? The trial is about to begin, Mr. Wright. All right, let's go, Maya. Yeah. All right. Time to break some hearts. So we'll start with Edgeworth. We gotta let him down.
Heartbreaker.
We gotta let him down easy. Court is back in session for the trial of Ellen Wyatt. The defense is ready, Your Honor.
The prosecution is ready, Your Honor.
Was that always a detail on Edgeworth, that he had his glasses hanging out of his pocket?
No, normally he was wearing them.
Well, he usually takes them off for the trial, but I didn't see them hanging off of his coat the last time, or maybe I just missed it.
Maybe I.
Let's see now. Where were we?
In yesterday's session, we found out about the Sprocket family's conspiracy to cover up the murder of Dumas Bloomsbury with a second reception. Taking advantage of a collective shock, the defense as usual made a nonsensical claim. Namely, that there was a third person present who struck the victim.
Objection!
Hey, don't try to make it sound like I made it all up. The defendant herself made a statement about the existence of a third person, and further investigation has only proven her statement to be true. Then I presume the defense intends to focus on proving the identity of this third person. Is that all right with you, Mr. Edgeworth?
Indeed, Your Honor. In fact, I predict that the defense will most likely attempt to name Mr. Soren Sprocket as the true culprit.
How did you...
The driver during the accident that killed Mr. Sprocket's sister was the victim. Therefore, Mr. Sprocket had a motive to murder Mr. Gloomsbury. That's what you plan to assert, is it not, Mr. Wright?
Am I that transparent?
Come now, Mr. Wright. Did you really think the police wouldn't uncover this information?
And did you really think I wouldn't come to the same conclusion?
Yes, because our police force isn't terrible like some other countries.
And I'm also not as dim-witted as our orange friend over here. Congrats on getting it in one, Mr. Edgeworth.
But you're wrong. Soren didn't do it. He's innocent.
Miss Wyatt, please.
He's innocent, I tell you.
What is this, Mr. Wright? I thought your claim about the existence of a third person came from the defendant.
It did. This is just a minor hiccup. Did you not discuss your strategy for today with the defendant, Mr. Wright? Starting off on the wrong foot again is seriously cutting into my lifespan.
It would appear that defense is in disarray. Therefore, the best way to clear things up is to ask Mr. Sprocket himself what happened. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to call Soren Sprocket to the stand.
What? Very well. Bailiff, please bring Mr. Sprocket to the witness stand.
Can we get them Can we get them to make the time machine work on my car?
Blah, blah, blah.
I don't want to pay for it.
Unfortunately, time travel, as Mr. Edgeworth would put it, is not a real thing. Witness, please
Get
state your
ma-
name and occupation.
Get the shenanigans of a cert in Fey Clan does.
Fold, throw.
He's not going to be cooperative with the court either, is he? Oh! There's something written on this paper airplane. Let's see. Soren Sprocket, Managing Director of Sprocket Aviation. Mr. Sprocket, please give your answers in words, not paper airplanes. And I've got one more question for you. Are you in by chance a rivalry with a Cogswell Cogs? Or am I mistaken?
Now then, Mr. Sprocket. Please tell that doubting lawyer there what really happened at the time of the crime. Well, Mr. Sprocket. Mr. Sprocket! Alright. You want me to talk about what happened when the crime occurred? In other words, after the first wedding reception. When Ellen and I were in the reception hall, right?
Not even the power of the court can stop him from marching to the beat of his own drum. What Soren remembers.
Which is absolutely nothing. I was stabbed by Dumas in this reception hall and I collapsed on the floor. To the floor. Next thing I saw was Ellen and Dumas on the Vista deck. I knew Ellen was in danger, so I headed for the Vista deck. But when I got there, Dumas was already... I don't want to believe it, but it must have been Ellen. Nothing else makes sense.
Wait just a minute here. You actually think Miss Wyatt killed the victim?
That's right. Dumas was killed by Ellen.
This is unbelievable. How can you suspect your bride, the woman you love? You can tell he's not happy about it.
The truth can be cruel. Miss Wyatt, you must be very upset. Is there anything you wish to say? Oof. Oof.
No, I can't believe this. Soren, I thought that at least you would believe in me.
Edgeworth, what the hell?
It's Edgeworth.
Give me a sec. I can't do the voice of the mouthful.
No, you can't. He's not Maya.
Burgers! Nah. The best way now to show your love for your groom is to admit your guilt and try to atone.
Soren,
Hold it!
Mr. Edgeworth, I haven't even cross-examined the witness yet. And quit picking on the clearly distraught. Yeah, that's so not cool, Mr. Edgeworth.
A court is where we seek the truth. And the truth is unyielding, even to the truly pitiful.
Mr. Edgeworth, I find it distasteful to make a lady cry.
Ain't true, Your Honor. I mean,
There is such a thing as tact, Edgeworth.
that and you can't badger the witnesses.
Yeah, so in other words, not seeking the truth, yes, is the most important thing, but not when it's, being a dickhead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are we going to do, Nick? If the third person Ellen saw on the Vista deck was Soren, then we have to prove Soren was there at the time of the murder. I don't see any obvious inconsistencies in his testimony, but we have to push forward. Okay. So my natural response is to look at his statements and press on them.
Omelette Fro Dumas.
I was stabbed by Dumas in the reception hall, and that collapsed. I'm gonna press on everything just to see.
Hold it!
Please tell me everything you can about when you got stabbed.
After the reception, Ellen and I were enjoying a moment alone in the reception hall when Dumas appeared and stabbed me. He grabbed Ellen and the timekeeper and then left the reception hall.
Did Mr. Bloomsbury say anything at that time?
I don't remember. After I was stabbed, I was immobilized by the pain.
I I see. The next thing I saw was Ellen and Dumas on the Vista deck.
Hold it!
The Vista deck, huh? But it was nighttime then. Could you really see them in the darkness?
The moon was out, so I could see them clearly. From the looks of it, Dumas was trying to push Ellen and the timekeeper off the side. So you saw the defendant? About to be thrown off the airship, you say? That's right. In such a desperate situation, it would only be natural for her to fight for her life. And the murder weapon was right there within her grasp.
This isn't going well at all. We've got to do something fast.
I mean, we could plead self-defense at that point.
We've proven in the first trial that we can't do that. Because it was like, he was hit twice,
right,
right?
yeah.
When I knew Ellen was in danger, so I headed to the Vista.
Hold it!
I understand that your bride was in danger, but were you really able to move with a stab wound in your gut, to the gut?
I was desperately trying to push the pain out of my mind.
I see. So adrenaline kicked in and gave you strength, is that right? I don't see much of anything in this statement I can refute.
That's right. I almost passed out several times as I made my way to the Vista deck.
But when I got there, Dumas was already...
Hold it!
Are you absolutely sure, Mr. Sprocket, that by the time you got to the Vista deck, the murder had already been committed?
Yes.
But the Vista deck is just on the other side of the glass windows in the reception. Shouldn't you have been able to get there right away?
Objection!
Mr. Wright, have you investigated nothing? The only way to the Vista deck is to go to the hold and take the lift. No matter how much one hurries, it would take at least 10 minutes.
Well, that's unhelpful. But Soren had to have gotten there before the murder. My claim won't stand. Do you have any ideas for me, Maya? It's definitely easier to prove that someone did go to the hold than not. I mean, you can't leave anything if you don't go someplace, right? Can't leave anything. Wait a minute. I think Maya is onto something here. The lack of a certain something actually proves that Soren didn't go to the hold.
What's the matter? Are you stumped already?
No, I'm far from stumped, Mr. Edgeworth. I know for a fact that Mr. Sprocket didn't go to the hold.
You and your paper-thin bluffs. Mr. Sprocket's bloodstain on the lift proves he went through the hold. So what possible proof could you have that he did not in fact go through there?
You want proof? You got it. You can do this, Phoenix. There's got to be proof that Soren didn't go through the hold. Well, Mr. Wright, this proves that Mr. Sprocket didn't go through the hold.
Ahi!
No. I don't know the answer yet. So
I know. I'm sassing.
I'm trying to think.
Photos? Probably photos.
Something that would have been on him. That he would have had to have had. You can't leave something if you don't go someplace. The lack of a certain something actually proves that Soren didn't go to the hold.
His card key? Because you can't go to the hold without using your card key, right?
Yeah, but the card key is not in our inventory.
But the hold entry...
But yeah, that's the record, too. The record would probably give it, right? Because if he had a card key on him, it would have registered.
Yeah, that's right. He's not on the list.
Yeah, so that probably would be it, yeah?
It is.
Take that!
As anyone can see from the hold entry record, there's absolutely no mention of Soren Sprocket entering the hold.
Hmm.
The defense asserts that Mr. Sprocket used a different route to get to the Vista deck.
You can assert all you want, Mr. Wright, but can you actually prove another route exists?
Can I prove the existence of another? Yes, I can. The blood on the lift.
Hmm.
Because that would show that the lift was there, right? In the first place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Phoenix is a log, a target dummy.
Can I prove the existence of another route to the Vista deck? We had to take this route anyway.
Not that one.
Not this one?
Not that one.
It's gonna be involved with the pterodactyl, isn't it?
No,
Okay.
I didn't think so. It's not. It's not that.
Hang on. Take a photo of the hold. Or look at the photo in the hold.
Oh, I guess this could prove it if we point out the switch, because that switch is the thing that activates the elevator. So is it the photo of the?
I'm not understanding what it's saying.
It's the plane.
No, because the plane has nothing to do with anything. Let's see what it says.
That you.
He flew out.
You're right here.
Yeah, but what does it mean? It's the price.
Okay, so I can prove it. Even if it's just a bluff, I have to present something. Anything that could prove the existence of a faster route to the Vista deck.
I guess.
Very well then, Mr. Wright.
Okay, yeah, 'cause it pulls up the map.
Show us how Mr. Sprocket got to the Vista deck. Ah, yes, and that's what the side door is. Because we literally just looked at that door in the reception hall, and that's the escape route door. Even though it's ridiculous, but again, it's the only other logical explanation.
Yep.
Take that!
To save his bride from danger, Mr. Sprocket opened the escape hatch and made his way along the outside wall to the Vista deck. Isn't that right, Mr. Sprocket? And knowing this guy, he would be crazy enough to probably try something like that.
Yeah.
That would certainly be a much faster route to the Vista deck.
Objection!
I'm disappointed.
Why
Go
are
ahead.
you reading my lines?
I don't know. I brain farted.
Hey,
What? Okay. I'm disappointed disappointed, Mr. Wright. Is that really the best you could muster? That escape hatch is not meant to be used to get to the reception hall to the Vista deck. One slip and that's all it would take for Mr. Sprocket to plunge to his death.
I have to agree. The defense's claim is really stretching it.
Hold it!
I understand how it sounds, Your Honor. But at this point, it's too early to definitively say that he didn't go that way. So that's what you're going with then, I take it? Of course, Your Honor.
This is real life, Mr. Wright, not some cinematic drivel or comic book. Do you have some sort of logical explanation to share that would convince us of your claim?
I do. Are you sure, Nick? Kind of. Actually, I have nothing. So I'll just have to wing it somehow. No, that sounds about right.
I'm pretty sure he flew.
On what do you base your theory that Mr. Sprocket made his way along the outside? My theory is that he was able to go along the outside wall despite the danger is based on the power of love.
Yeah.
It's gotta be the power of love.
Yep.
The power of money!
Money? Get out of here, crabs.
Now he looked in the
Like-
mirror.
like-
He looked in the mirror. He used his Gios and say, I order you to go out the door.
Like, I'm literally looking at this, I'm just like, well, it's not like his future wife was in danger.
Yeah. That's the power
Right,
of
come on.
love.
To save the bride he loves, the groom risked his life to rush to her side. Mr. Sprocket was able to make it to the Vista deck despite the danger because of the power of love. The power of love? I love that song. I watched Back to the Future yesterday. That love is a source of strength that can help one overcome any obstacle. I think I could relate, thanks to my own long, happy marriage. Wow, he actually seems to be buying it.
Objection!
The power of love, you say? That kind of illogical argument is hardly viable in a court of law. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor? Your Honor?
I'm afraid not, Mr. Edgeworth. You should never underestimate the power of love. You'll understand one day when you get married.
Which I won't. Jeez, he sounds like a petulant child today. Exactly what is so wrong with wishing to remain unwed?
Way to set him off, Your Honor.
Never mind all this unscientific nonsense. Are you aware, Mr. Wright, that at the time of the crime, there was a huge propeller turning at full speed between the hatch and the Vista deck?
You can hear it blowing in your mind's eye right now.
Even if a person were to go outside through the hatch. Oh my. They'd be blown away in an instant. Where does your power of love get you now, Mr. Wright?
Huge spinning propeller, you say? In that case, I have to admit it does seem impossible. I should have known. Nick, you can't make that kind of face in front of your client. The worst of times are when lawyers have to force their biggest smiles, right? Yeah. I feel like I just saw Mia looking out at me through Maya's eyes. Don't give us that, Phoenix! That's like the third character we're missing in this now.
Don't give us hope!
I'm like Jeremy Renner. Don't do that. Don't give me hope.
Yeah.
What's wrong, Nick? Why are you gaping at me like a giant sunfish? Aw, but Stunfisk is my favorite Pokemon. I just identify with his lack of thought.
Galarian Stunfisk says hi.
Nice to see you too. Thank you, Maya. You just helped me remember something really important. There it is. There's that fearless smile I was looking for. Now give us some mind-blowing theory, just like you always do. I have to turn my thinking around. Instead of wondering how Soren could have moved past that huge propeller, I have to think about what would have made it possible for him to do so.
Your Honor, Mr. Wright only makes that ridiculous face when his back is pressed against the wall. Therefore, please do hurry and give your ruling before...
Hold it!
Mr. Edgeworth, it's still far too early to discount my theory.
What are you talking about? The airship's large spinning propellers have already shredded it to pieces.
Ah. Shredded it to pieces, you say? He used the map that was broken apart.
To do what?
Maybe he pushed it in the way.
Maybe? I don't know.
I'm sure we can find a way he could have made it.
Stop trying to stall, Mr. Wright. And show us how it could have been even remotely possible, if at all.
I must agree with Mr. Edgeworth. Very well, Your Honor. There must have been a way. Some way that Soren could have moved along the wall in spite of the propeller. Now then, Mr. Wright, what specifically would have made it possible? This is how it would have been possible for Mr. Sprocket to get to the Vista deck.
A pterodactyl! He got to the deck some other way, the airship wasn't flying, the propellers were broken.
The airship could have not been flying.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the only way it would make sense, that
Pretty
the
much.
propellers weren't going.
Yeah.
The propellers weren't broken, I guess, but there was no real evidence of that.
Yeah, no, they didn't
And
announce
he
anything like
got to the deck some other way. That would completely throw our theory out the window.
Correct.
So the airship wasn't flying? That's the only one that makes sense. What allowed Mr. Sprocket to go through the outside wall in spite of the propellers? is the location of the flying chapel at the time of the crime. The location of the flying chapel? But wasn't it flying high in the sky? No, Your Honor, I'm afraid it wasn't. What? Then where was it? At the time of the murder, the airship wasn't flying through the sky, but moored to the ground. What? And if the airship wasn't flying, then that means the propellers weren't turning. Watch out, Soren. That might be a bomb. That might actually be a bomb. You see the lead coming out.
Yeah.
Stop wasting lead.
No, see, as long as he keeps pressing the button, it's not gonna blow up.
It's true.
It's got a timer on it.
It's going to be like starting it and stopping it like repeatedly.
Yeah.
He's like me when I'm pushing a button. In which case, it would have been very easy for him to do it. Mr. Sprocket could have gotten to the Vista deck along the outside wall. Isn't that right, Mr. Sprocket? Oh, he pressed it on the sharp end.
I don't remember.
He stabbed himself with his pencil. That's gonna leave a mark.
Objection!
Even if the propellers weren't turning, it would have been far too risky to go that way.
Ah, but Mr. Edgeworth, you're forgetting about the power of love.
That's the power of love.
Yes, the amazing power of love.
Not this again.
Not this again. Wow, we're really just getting on his shit with the power
Yeah.
of love, aren't we?
Very well. For the sake of the argument, let's assume the so-called power of love made it possible for Mr. Sprocket to move alongside the outside wall of the airship. Can you prove that the airship was tied to the ground as you claim, Mr. Wright?
Well, I don't have any evidence that proves where the airship was at the time. Are we absolutely sure? Are we absolutely sure?
Stonks.
$1,500. Please hand me a fry paw.
No.
You can prove it, can't you?
Maya, can you think of anything we can use to prove it? Can't say I can. Oh, wait. Didn't somebody see something outside the window? That's literally what I was looking at. I'm just like, it's gotta be this. At the time of the crime. I think I remember someone saying as much. Do I have a piece of evidence that shows what was outside the airship? I do.
Well, what
Please
are you
give-
waiting for?
This piece of evidence shows that what was outside the airship at the time of the crime.
Faye,
Oh boy.
Faye, I'm gonna fry pie you, but I'm not gonna give you the fry pie.
Okay.
I don't care. Just smack me.
I mean, I
with it,
know this is the
please.
right answer because this is literally the only thing we have, but
Pterodactyl!
Take that!
this piece of evidence shows what was outside the airship at the time of the murder.
What kind of lousy drawing is that?
I'm sorry, lousy? This looks pretty good to me,
Yeah.
buddy. Like, this doesn't look like a bad drawing at all. The only thing that's questionable is the pterodactyl, but artistic.
License.
What was it?
License.
License, but there's another thing, interpretation. It's a drawing made by Larry Butts.
And what can you prove with that poor attempt at artistry?
Poor. Larry made this drawing before he switched the lanterns. So it must have been right around when the murder was being committed. Now, if I could direct the court's attention here. Oh, good. I don't have to point it out. Is that a pterodactyl? Does that mean that the airship actually went back in time to the Cretaceous period?
Cretaceous.
Cretaceous.
Objection!
We've already proven that time travel is nothing more than a gimmick, did we not?
We did, and I have no intention of bringing up that argument again. But this drawing shows us an important piece of information. It shows us that the airship was actually moored to the ground.
And what makes you so sure?
That's easy. All you have to do is consider who made this drawing. This idiot.
Hey guys.
Larry.
That's right. It was Mr. Butts, and we both know what he's like. He must have seen something else and mistaken it for a pterodactyl.
I can't argue with you there.
Even he's like, shit.
Just wait, what kind of moron do you take me for?
Do we
A big
really
one.
have to answer that, Larry? Because you know you're not gonna like what both of us have to say.
I thought a pterodactyl that flew right by the window, I tell you. I was sharp by the. Don't you believe me?
No.
No. I love how sharp his like, no. Nope.
So frank you guys are. What about the judge? You believe me, right, Your Honor?
I'm sorry, but I'm afraid you need to leave this courtroom. Bailiff,
Come on!
come on, buddy, let's go.
Why doesn't anybody believe me?
Because you've never given us any opportunity to do it otherwise. Don't take it personally,
think-
Larry. I know you're just being, well, you. No, then. So you're saying that what Mr. Butts really saw bears some relation to what was outside the airship at the time of the murder? Yes, Your Honor. At least I think it does. What this pterodactyl really is will prove the airship was anchored at the mooring dock. Better, anyway. If it doesn't, my whole argument is a bust. And not Maximilian Galacticus bust. You're that confident about it, then please go ahead and tell us what it really was. Yes, Your Honor.
It was a fry paw.
Think, Phoenix. What could that pterodactyl have actually been? Gee, it's not like I pointed it out on the first day.
Take that!
Please take a good look at this sign. At the sign? It appears to have been broken and then repaired. But what does this sign have to do with the pterodactyl? Please focus on this part of the sign. The part that broke off and got reattached. What about it? How about if we turn it like this? That shape. It's the pterodactyl in the drawing. But that raises another question. He saw the sign falling down? Because the sign would have had to have been upside down at the time.
Yeah.
What Mr. Butts actually saw was this chunk of it being blown through the air by wind. What? I guess it could have also been really heavy winds, but
They did say there was heavy winds that day, I believe.
I think so. On the day of the murder, there were some heavy winds in the area of the mooring dock. But it's hard to imagine that this sign would make it up as high as an airship would fly. That means the flying chapel must have been anchored at the mooring dock then. Isn't that right, Mr. Sprocket?
Objection!
That's more than enough of this power of love nonsense, you pop culture junkie. Present all the proof you want, but your argument is based on far too much conjecture. Why don't we turn to reality now?
What do you mean too much conjecture?
Even if the airship wasn't flying, that alone doesn't prove that the witness went along the wall.
True, even now it's no more than a possibility. Then how do you propose Mr. Sprocket got to the Vista deck, Mr. Edgeworth?
I noticed something as I went over the evidence. Please take a look at this hold entry record.
What about it? I don't see Mr. Sprocket listed on here anywhere.
Don't you remember? In yesterday's session, we had a very similar kind of argument.
Did we?
Honestly, Mr. Wright, are you going senile already? We talked about Larry Butts using the defendant's keycard to enter the hold.
Oh, we did talk about that, didn't we?
In other words, if a person's name isn't on the entry record, it's still possible for that person to have entered by using someone else's card.
Are you going to make the argument that he used Pierce Nickety's card?
Mr. Sprocket, you entered the hold with Mr. Nickety, didn't you?
Yeah, I figured as much.
I did.
What? Why didn't you tell us that in the first place?
Pierce is indispensable. I didn't want to mention him unnecessarily and risk having him wrongly accused. I couldn't do it without him.
Mr. Sprocket, I ask that you testify in greater detail about your movements that night. Oh, finally, more testimony. It's been like a year?
After 5,000 years! The truth is, I went to the Vista deck with Pierce. That's why my name doesn't appear on the hold entry record. I was badly injured from being stabbed, but I was frantic. By the time we reached the scene, it was all over.
Well, this doesn't help me one bit.
Mr. Sprocket, you've concealed information from us time and time again. Who do you think you are, treating this court of law with such irreverence? That being said, I do appreciate the testimony you gave just now. Thanks to you, we now know why your name doesn't appear on the entry record. Now there are no more inconsistencies with the witness's testimony.
That's Mr. Edgeworth for you. He never leaves a loose end dangling. You okay, Nick? Wouldn't exactly call the situation okay. Somehow I'll have to coax the information we need for an opening out of him.
Hey, are you okay?
Are you okay? Why is he talking to me like Terry Bogard now?
Power away!
Mr. Wright, you can't do that. Also, first of all, you would need to have a demon eye. And I know of a electric god wind fists that I can help you with. Even if I even can, that is. Yeah, so coax information out of him? Alright, so time to press on him.
Poke! Poke everything!
I was gonna poke everything. Yeah, I went to okay.
Hold it!
You didn't mention this because you didn't want Mr. Nickety to fall under suspicion? Is that because he has something to hide?
I just didn't want the police to take up his time with all their questions, that's all. Neither the company or the household would function smoothly without him.
I see. Wow. Sounds like Pierce is absolutely indispensable to the Sprockets. Anyway, getting back to your statement. When did you meet up with Mr. Nickety?
We met up on the way on my way to the Vista deck. I think Pierce and some of my relatives were on another floor. But Pierce heard the commotion and came running to my aid.
You could hear the pandemonium all the way from another floor? Mr. Wright, would you like the current statement added to the witness's testimony?
What other floor?
Yeah, what other floor?
There's literally a blimp separating the top from the bottom.
Yeah. I mean, I'll add it anyways. Just to be on the safe side.
I mean, there's nothing wrong
Yes,
with that.
please, Your Honor. Yeah, there's nothing going against it. Very well. Pierce heard the commotion and he came running. That didn't seem like it added very much. Unless... by the time we reached the scene... Yeah, this didn't really add much.
Okay.
Hold it!
Did Mr. Nickety come alone?
I believe some of his subordinates were with him, but I don't remember exactly how many.
He may say there were others, but seeing how he pulled that second reception off, I can't completely trust anything he has to say either. I see. So you, Mr. Nickety, and a few others headed to the Vista deck, is that right?
Then why aren't there any witnesses? That's right.
That's why my name doesn't appear on the...
Hold it!
Your name doesn't appear on the hold entry record because you entered with Mr. Nickety using his keycard?
That's right.
So I guess the hold entry record doesn't matter as much as we thought. Now that Soren's saying he was with Pierce and the others, it's pretty tough to refute that statement.
What's the matter, Mr. Wright? Cat got your tongue? Did you finally realize there's no point in continuing this trial any longer?
Of course not. Get the smug look off your face. Mr. Sprocket, please continue with your testimony. I was badly injured from being stabbed, but I was frantic.
Hold it!
Speaking of your injury, how are you doing now?
The knife wound is deep and continues to throb with pain. Fortunately, my internal organs were spared. But one wrong move would have spelled the end for me there.
Even so, I've seen you up and about all over the place since the incident.
I'm only following my doctor's orders to perform some daily light exercises.
Mr. Wright, would you like Mr. Sprocket's statement about his condition added to his testimony? Not that it appears especially relevant to me. Well, now that you've said that... Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to have it added to his testimony.
Add everything to the testimony.
Yeah, exactly. This feels suspicious. The knife wound is quite deep and continues to throb with pain. Hold on, do we have anything? I don't think it was a knife wound, but...
Hold it!
Your injury was really that deep?
Luckily, it missed my internal organs, otherwise I wouldn't be alive right now.
That's right. He's talking about the injury
According to his doctor, his injury will take about 3 weeks to heal. There's no way someone with that kind of injury would have gone along outside the wall.
That is it. He's talking about a knife wound, and yet the only thing we have that he was stabbed with was the candelabra. So, it's the candelabra.
And if Mr. Gloomsbury was holding it...
Yeah, that's suspicious. Nah. But we might have been able to with a burst of adrenaline brought on by the pain.
Adrenaline. Is that your answer for anything? In a court of law, the only thing that matters is evidence, not rampant speculation.
At least admit it's scientific rampant speculation.
May I continue?
Yes, of course. So yeah, that's most likely it. On this statement, it's most likely going to be the candelabra.
Do it.
But I want to see what he says here. But by the time it was all
Blah, 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 blah.
So you still insist that you reached the Vista deck after the murder had occurred. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. Ellen must have killed him. There's no other explanation.
I guess whether Pierce was with Soren or not doesn't change the outcome. I guess not. In fact, more witnesses actually makes it worse for us.
Yeah, it does.
So another cover-up, huh? That Soren has too many secrets. I bet he's still hiding other things, too.
Yeah, from
That's
himself.
definitely possible. But in a situation like this, what we have to do is go back to the basics. You mean go over the testimony and check for any lies or inconsistencies? You got it. All right, Nick, let's go for it. All right. So
Present evidence!
right here, the knife wound was quite deep. But before I do anything, because I could be far off the mark, but it definitely seems like this is the one.
Yep.
Objection!
Yeah. It's the only thing that really made any sense, because like it wasn't a knife, it was the candelabra. We established this yesterday. Mr. Sprocket, you just said your injury is a knife wound, didn't you?
Actually, wait a sec. The candelabra is missing a part of it.
Yeah, it is. And that's the part that has his stab wound.
Maybe it's still in him.
Maybe it is still in him.
Interesting.
I mean,
Okay.
it is pointy enough to be like that, something like that. But the weapon you were stabbed with was this candelabra. A fact I know you're quite aware of. He's misinterpreting his book. Like, because maybe he wrote down something, or he was told to write something down.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Pierce told him to write that. Very well. This is what I heard directly from Master Soren himself. As you surmised, Master Soren was stabbed by Gloomsbury on the day of the murder. It happened after the first wedding reception. I need to Shengoku Satsu you! The happy couple was in the reception hall when suddenly Gloomsbury appeared. He attacked Miss Ellen and tried to take her away. Master Soren went to stop him and found himself in a struggle with Bloomsbury. That is when Master Soren was stabbed with the candelabra, he said.
Objection!
It must have been a simple memory slip that made him misspeak. It happens to everyone. It has nothing to do with the case. You must be pretty desperate to point out something so minute.
I have to agree, Mr. Wright. You hardly need to make such a big deal over such a small mistake. But I contend that it's an important inconsistency. Besides, I couldn't find anything else. This is the only thing I have to go after.
And I say it's not important. Now, let's not waste any more time on this matter.
I agree. Everybody has a little memory lapse every now and then.
Hold it!
But, Your Honor, please let me explain. But can you? Can you really explain to this court what makes this slip so important? Yes, I can, Your Honor. After all, it was Soren himself who told Pierce that he had been stabbed by a candelabra. This is more than a simple memory slip. There has to be some kind of reason. Well, Mr. Wright, please explain what the witness's slip of the tongue is so important. The point to focus upon here is why the witness would make the mistake the weapon used to stab him. Think carefully, Phoenix. This could very well change the course of this trial. I see. So why did the witness make that mistake, Mr. Wright?
Because he was actually stabbed by a
Mr.
knife.
Sprocket identified the wrong weapon used against him because he misspoke. He's covering
He
for
has
someone.
no memory of
He
it.
has no memory of it. Yep, he has no memory of it. Force of habit. But now that we have this option in the games, it's very lucrative that you do this. He has no memory of it.
Yeah, when back in the day when you were playing old Phoenix Wright, when you had to redo something, you had to redo that segment of the court case.
Granted, at that point, you would have had the answers to the other questions already, so it's just a matter of getting back up to that point, but it was time-consuming.
Yeah.
He doesn't remember the incident, let alone the weapon used against him. Not only that, but I believe Mr. Sprocket has some sort of memory disorder. Therefore, the defense contends that Mr. Sprocket's testimony thus far is invalid.
Objection!
Just because you can't find a flaw in his testimony, you want to throw it all out? Your baseless claim is nothing but pure slander of the witness's character.
Mr. Edgeworth is correct, Mr. Wright. Can you explain your grounds for making this claim? Of course, Your Honor. Think of what Soren has said, how he's behaved. That's where I'll find the clue.
The Notebook.
Very well. Let's hear your argument then. My grounds for claiming that Mr. Sprocket has a memory disorder is his taciturn personality. His notebook.
Taciturn.
Taciturn.
That's how it's pronounced.
Oh, okay, fair enough. His notebook or his airplane pen? It's the pen! His notebook. My goodness, that was impressive.
Hey.
It was. You're right, Your Honor, it was. Even I contend that was impressive. I love it when like movies and all that do that. Like my favorite moments in cartoons and all that is when the hero acknowledges that the villain's plan is brilliant and he's like, "Yes, finally! Thank you, someone appreciates my genius." I mean, you're still gonna die, but I appreciate it.
Yeah.
See, he admires my handiwork.
I'm going to miss you when you're gone.
Yeah, exactly. I love that kind of hero-villain dynamic. The notebook he always has with him. I saw daily events and information about the people around him recorded in it. Like a diary, perhaps? No, Your Honor. It's much more detailed to be an
Much too detailed.
Much too detailed. Much more detailed, much too detailed to be an ordinary diary. It's more on the order of the database, actually. A database, you say? That's right. For some reason, Mr. Sprocket is apparently unable to retain memories. That's why he writes every little detail of his life down in his notebook.
Objection!
How could you possibly know that for sure? He might just be an extremely compulsive person.
I thought so too myself, at first. To be honest, we accidentally got a stain on that notebook yesterday. You mean you got a stain on it? Hey, you're the one who tried to grab it out of my...
Objection!
Never mind whose fault it was, just get to the point already.
Right, sorry. Mr. Sprocket. The page Miss Fay got a stain on yesterday. That's the page with the details of your stabbing on it, isn't it?
No. I only write in this notebook because I'm very compulsive. Now drop the subject already.
Sorry, but I'm not convinced. I noticed an odd fact about your notebook, Mr. Sprocket. On the earlier pages, you used it to write down invention ideas. But after a certain date, you started writing down a lot more, and in much more detail. Oh, we're bringing this up now, eh? I believe your memory disorder stems from what happened on that date. Something so monumental it caused a memory disorder, Mr. Wright.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Sorry, but I do know what I'm talking about. And this is the proof. This is the thing that caused Mr. Sprocket's memory disorder.
Your sister's death.
It's the accident. It's the newspaper article talking about the accident.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. I zoned out
Thank
for a
you,
little bit
Oracle.
You were sitting there just like, he's figuring things out on his own. He doesn't need me right now.
there. Exactly.
Well, you know, it's
Training
always nice-
wheels are off,
No,
boy.
I mean, that's why we're always there. You're like this. You're the like I said last week. You're the safety net. Huh. You were involved in this car accident too, weren't you, Mr. Sprocket? And the shock of losing your beloved older sister is what caused you to develop your memory disorder.
Is this true, Mr. Sprocket?
Well, is it? Mr. Sprocket.
It's true. That accident did something to my mind.
What?
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 Ever since that day, every time I go to sleep, I lose my memories. And when I wake up, the most recent thing I can remember is the day I lost my sister. It's as if I'm constantly going back in time.
What? That's truly tragic.
An inconsolable time traveler who goes back in time whenever he goes to sleep.
And that's why he's claiming that he sees time. He told his wife why he sees time travelers all the
Yeah.
time. He's referring to himself.
Besides, time travelers do exist, you know. But you wouldn't understand.
So he's mistaking interrogate amnesia as going back in time.
Hmm.
So that's what Soren meant. He was talking about himself. Exactly. That's what I just said.
The reactions of the people around me each time I awoke made me aware of my condition. That's why I decided to write everything down in my notebook so I can move forward.
So the only memories you have since that day are the ones written in that notebook.
That's right.
And since the page on your stabbing got stained, you couldn't read from it, could you? There's just one more thing I'd like you to clarify for me, Mr. Sprocket. Exactly what are your feelings toward the victim? Mr. Sprocket's feelings toward Damas Bloomsbury? That's right, Your Honor. The witness said that every time he wakes up from sleep, his mind goes back to the day his sister died.
Mr. Wright, you can't mean...
Mr. Sprocket,
Thank you.
Mr. Sprocket.
Yes, Mr. Sprocket.
yeah, his name is Soren Sprocket.
Oh.
Your pent-up feelings of anger and resentment towards Mr. Gloomsbury for the accident were renewed each and every time you woke, were they not? But you couldn't take it anymore, so you turned to murder, isn't that right? What? Mr. Wright, are you saying that the witness murdered Mr. Gloomsbury for revenge?
Ah!
Well, Mr. Sprocket,
Yeah, she got
now
involved.
he's jumping in again.
Yep.
Miss Wyatt.
Your Honor, I did it. I killed Mr. Bloomsbury.
No! What? Oh, for fuck's sake.
Love!
At this point, we should have the bailiff like literally bring her out of the room.
Yeah.
Yeah. Miss Wyatt, what are you trying to do?
Don't tell me you're still thinking of going that route. Soren, you can't be feeling guilty. Make me sad.
Ellen, please try to get a hold of yourself. And also, like, jumping in right now, you're not letting him explain himself.
Yep.
You're technically taking his explanation away from him.
Otherwise known as Ellen! 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 Ellen!
Ellen.
Ellen! Stop!
My Soren didn't do anything wrong. I'm the one who should be convicted.
Are we to understand that you're confessing your guilt? No, no, no. Now, wait just a minute here.
Ellen, why would you cover for me? After I testified that I thought you must have killed him.
I'll admit, I couldn't believe my ears at first. But all I want is for you to be happy. Your happiness is my happiness, Soren.
But without my notebook, I'd even forget those feelings of yours by tomorrow. Knowing that, do you still feel this way?
You've loved me all this time, the same way you did before the accident. That's how I know that you're the same person I've always loved. No disorder can change that.
Ellen. Your Honor, there are 2 things I'd like to correct.
2 corrections? What are they?
First of all, I want to withdraw one of my statements. That's right. Dumas was killed by Ellen.
I mean, even then, he was saying it as if he was hesitating.
Without memories to rely on, I took the police completely at their word. You can't be serious.
So that means Soren never really doubted Ellen in the first place, did he, Nick? Ellen really does love Soren with all her heart, but in order to save her, I'll still have to go after Soren. I hope you can forgive me, Ellen. And what is your other correction, Mr. Sprocket?
The truth is, I never felt anger or resentment towards Dumas about my sister.
What? Why not?
That's because the one who caused the car accident was me. As soon as he trailed off, I'm like, he's going to say it was his fault.
How? Okay, let's hear your explanation here. Order in the court. Please continue, Mr. Sprocket.
I'm the one who killed my sister. To protect my career and my future, my father made Dumas take the blame. In exchange for money and the position of the lead servant. So you see, Dumas must have held a grudge against me, not the other way around. And he must have attacked Ellen to get his revenge on me.
Are you sure about all of this, Mr. Sprocket?
Very sure. It's all been written down in detail in my notebook.
It's been written, but did you write it? And also, if you're the one who wrote it, who was telling you this information?
Yeah.
That notebook is important evidence supplying background to this case.
No.
I must insist you submit it as evidence.
I doubt it.
A database-like notebook that chronicles the events in each day in minute detail.
The lawyer said I had turned to murder, but that's just not true.
Hold on.
You said it's a database. That's the only page? Ideas for interventions.
Details of the day of the murder have been rendered illegible by the bloodstain. The day of the murder, huh? So the information we need has the bloodstain on it.
Yeah.
So again,
Convenient.
Who was the one who told him to write this down? Because he did mention before something about the head servant role. Well, who's the head servant right now?
Yeah, it's not Dumas.
No, it's Pierce.
Yeah.
That just puts more suspicion onto him. Still Soren speaking.
Yeah, sorry. However, it is true that my older sister and Dumas are both dead because of me and my negligence.
I just glanced through Mr. Sprocket's notebook. I wasn't able to read the part about when he was stabbed due to the bloodstain. But what's written here about his sister's car accident is exactly as he stated.
Faye! Don't burp into the microphone.
Go put it back.
I'm muted.
No, you didn't. Your Honor, as long as it matches what's written in that notebook, can we still take the witness's testimony as valid in spite of his memory disorder?
Yes, I believe we can.
I understand now that the witness's memory is in disarray. But if what Mr. Sprocket himself wrote in this notebook is true, which we can't confirm right now,
Exactly. Wait a second.
then that means by the time Mr. Sprocket's party reached the scene, the victim had already been killed.
Edward's right. I'm still in the same bind as before. Should I really simply accept the contents of the notebook as a substitute for Soren's memories? No, we can't. You know what we should do? We should have the handwriting analyzed.
Yep.
Well, Mr. Wright, what do you think? Will you accept Mr. Sprocket's notebook as an official representation of his memories? Well, I accept.
No.
No. Wait a minute, Your Honor. The defense requests a chance to examine the notebook to see if it's trustworthy. Very well, but be quick about it. Thank you, Your Honor. So what should we examine it? How should we examine it? Well, we should look at it from all different angles to see if there's anything suspicious.
Can the book have pages removed?
There's no point if I don't look at what's inside. I have to open it.
It's gonna be obvious that the
With your
writing
permission,
is
sir.
different.
Yikes. Oh, it's just the page Maya got all stained. But I guess it's not going to be very helpful at this moment. I'll keep going.
Also, blood doesn't.
This is the last page where there's... Do we have any ripped things?
No, not yet.
No. Something about this page doesn't sit right with me. I better take a closer look.
Blood doesn't dry that bright.
No. Huh? The page has been a page has been torn out, and it looks like there was something written on it. It looks like a page has been torn out here. Mr. Sprocket, do you know what it was written on it?
No, of course not. Oh, that? I often tear out a page when I write somebody a note. I probably wrote something down for somebody, tore it out, and gave it to them.
Hold on.
He tears it perfectly.
Hold on. I have a question though. That thing that he tore out, could it have been what he threw at the judge? I know he threw like his introduction to him, but could it have been something that he threw to somebody?
I don't know, maybe.
Oh yeah.
That solves that then.
Objection!
Wait a minute. We can't ignore the possibility that something important was written on that page. But now that the page has been torn out, how can we determine what was written there? Well, let's see. To find out what was written in the notebook, we should hold it up to a light, heat it with a lighter, use fingerprint powder?
Fingerprint powder. Because the lower page could have indents.
True. If it was being ripped out by, if it was ripped out by somebody, then it could have
The page below it, yeah.
Hold it up to the light.
I think it's hold it up to the light because the no. Oh, okay. So heat it with a lighter then. No.
So it was the fingerprint thing.
Okay, I was
like
right
what
the
we were
first-
saying before. I was trying to justify your answer.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember why that makes sense.
Because that's the only one that really makes sense here.
Yeah.
If we were looking for hidden messages, the other two would make more sense.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about a ripped page,
I guess fingerprint powder would be the equivalent of like rubbing something over it, and the indentations wouldn't be.
if we use fingerprint powder on the notebook, we might be able to see what was written. Fingerprint powder? How would that help us find out what was written there? Well, if the writing left indentations on the blank page behind it, fingerprint powder could make those small indentations visible to the naked eye.
Oh, stop! Fingerprint powder would only sully the notebook further.
Mr. Wright, if you use the powder and still don't find anything, Then you must accept the notebook as a representation of the witness's memories. Alright, Your Honor, I understand. If I don't find anything, it's all over anyway. Powder, don't fail me now. Again, it's the only one that made sense in that list.
Fair enough.
To find out what was written in the torn out page. Yeah, I know how this works.
Analyze. I think it's more than just that, yeah.
I know. Oh wait, it said the page before.
Wait, why the page before?
Because if you closed it up...
No, I see it. See? Look down. You have to go down. It's not the full
I
page.
see. Oh, yeah. Staying alive.
You're not seeing the full page. You need to... Yeah, there you go.
Is there a way to zoom out?
Move
No.
camera. Hold R.
That's reset.
That's reset camera.
No, hold R.
That's to move it across.
Yes.
But not zoom out. That's not.
There's no zoom out.
Yeah, but you can move the camera so you can see it better. I struck and killed Dumas.
Dumb.
That's it.
S on the S maybe?
Yeah, maybe the S is slightly like...
Not that S, the other one.
That's right, and I think...
The I, maybe?
Hold on.
Switch to analyze.
It says, I struck and killed Dumas. This is huge. But it's not in Soren's regular handwriting.
Yeah.
I struck and killed Dumas. That's what was written on the torn out page. What?
It can't be.
I don't believe it. There has to be some kind of mistake. Soren would never, could never.
Keep aching.
Miss Wyatt. Bailiff, please get the defendant to the infirmary at once.
Drama.
Apparently the defendant got too worked up. She's resting in the infirmary as we speak. Now then, please continue, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. This notebook is all Mr. Sprocket has to remember things by.
No.
No, you want this.
Yeah.
With this critical page torn out, not even Mr. Sprocket himself knew the truth of what he had done.
I'm the one who killed Dumas? So it wasn't Ellen. Oh, thank goodness.
Mr. Sprocket, does this mean you were at the crime scene during the murder after all?
I guess I must have been.
I like how we're just stating up front that that writing is his, when it's clearly not. But Mr. Sprocket, can we really believe what's written in this notebook?
Nobody touches this notebook but me. And when I sleep, it's under lock and key.
There was an instance when he didn't have it.
Yep.
It's when he dropped it in the blood and he was carried off to the hospital.
And we handed it to his... Yeah.
Nickety had it for that time.
I gotta go.
Okay,
See
bye.
ya.
I don't remember writing...
Bye.
See ya.
Bye. I don't remember writing that I killed Dumas, but I guess I must have.
Well, now that we have a confession, I'm afraid I must render my verdict.
Oh, well, all the... Yes, Your Honor. Please give me your ruling now while Ellen is asleep. I want the woman I love to be set free as soon as possible.
Soren really does love Ellen after all, doesn't he? Yeah. So this is how it ends. But is that how it really went down? Is there really no way for them both to be happy? I know we should consider anything written in this notebook to be the truth, but still.
I myself wrote of the crime in my notebook. No further proof is necessary.
Soren himself wrote it in his notebook? Wait a minute. Very well. I will now give my verdict. Ellen is about to be found not guilty, and Soren will be convicted for the crime instead. And yet, am I really ready for the judge to give his ruling?
No!
No, not when there's still one more avenue left to explore. This court finds the defendant, Ellen Wyatt.
Hold it!
Your Honor, there's still something that bothers me about that notebook. Oh, is there?
What are you doing, Mr. Wright? All you have to do is keep quiet and your client's a free woman.
I know, but I think there might be more to this case than meets the eye.
Da-da-da-da-da.
I'm not quite sure yet, but I think there still might be a way. A way for Ellen and Soren to be happy.
The butler did it.
What do you mean by more than meets the eye, Mr. Wright? Are you talking about them transmorphers?
Transform and roll out.
I believe the question here, Your Honor, should be, why was the incriminating page torn out in the first place? Why? To destroy the evidence, I would imagine. By removing it from the notebook is the same as removing it from Mr. Sprocket's memory, which means he wouldn't have been able to trick the police if he came under suspicion. No, if he wanted to cover up his crime, he would have to remember that he had done it.
Just what are you getting at with this line of inquiry, Mr. Wright?
Yes, please explain it so that we can all understand. Yes, Your Honor. The page was torn out of the notebook because he had to forget about what happened. It was torn out by accident. Somebody else tore it out.
Somebody else tore it out.
Somebody else tore it out. The incriminating page was torn out by somebody else. What? Order, order.
Magnus?
Are you claiming a third person interfered with the notebook? It's not all that surprising if you consider what's happened up till now. After both the car accident and the murder of Dumas Bloomsbury, there was always a cover-up not far behind.
But I had my notebook with me at all times.
Did you? Because I remember you were in a panic yesterday because you couldn't find it.
That's true.
So who orchestrated this particular cover-up, Mr. Wright? If we think back over the course of the trial, it's pretty easy to guess. The one who may have tried to tamper with Soren's memories is...
The butler!
Take that!
The one who tampered with the notebook in order to manipulate Mr. Sprocket's memory is Pierce Nickety.
Pierce? Pierce tried to tamper with my memories? Pierce was manipulating me?
Case in point, the 2 receptions that were held to cover up the murder. It was Mr. Nickety who directed the guests and orchestrated the entire scheme.
No, it can't be. Which of my memories are mine and which have been rewritten? When did he start rewriting my memories? Who wrote this? And this? And this? And this? And this? And this? Ah! Yeah!
We have liftoff! What? He literally took off!
Ah!
What the? Balaam, do something! How? Help, I'm stuck. Look, Nick, he's coming back down.
My memories, Ellen.
Oh, well, now both of them are out. Mr. Sprocket! Bailiff, please get Mr. Sprocket to the infirmary on the double.
Hopefully next to in a bed next
Yeah.
to Ellen.
Yeah.
Ellen.
And make them hold hands. Mr. Sprocket has been taken to the infirmary. We don't have to worry about him running away, so let us resume where we left off. Your Honor, the defense would like to call Pierce-Nickety to the stand.
Objection!
We already know he carried out the cover-up to protect the company and Mr. Sprocket. What more do you want from him?
This time it's different. The notebook, or rather Mr. Sprocket's memories, have been tampered with. That means the only person who knows the whole truth is now Mr. Nickety.
Don't tell me, are you actually trying to drum up a third suspect? In order to exonerate the defendant and her groom?
I'm not drumming up anything, nor do I have grounds to accuse him of anything. Yet. All I know is that Mr. Nickety is the only one who knows the truth. And I think he's still hiding something. Something we don't know about yet.
No grounds yet, is it?
Well, Mr. Edgeworth, does the prosecution consent to calling the witness to the stand?
It does, Your Honor. However, I would like a little time to talk with the witness before we do.
Very well. We will break for a 20-minute recess.
And we will break.
And we will also take a break so that we can start up. When we come back, we will start up again with Final Fantasy VII Remake. And we'll see Josh get mollywopped by a house.